like I actually have so next week, a week from Friday, is leadership seminar number 1 for this civic leadership program that I'm running, but that I'm leading. And I'll tell people, turn off your mute.
Órale.
So I try to flip the Zoom expectations on their head, so that it's more communal and it's more conversational in nature, because we automatically go to the mute. So unless you're coughing up a lung,
right,
unmute.
Wow.
So that there's more opportunity. And I just cold call on, like, hey, I'm gonna call on you, like old school style.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you think, Jose? So you know, Dr. Ortiz just said this. Dr. Lopez, what do you think? How is that making sense in your workspace, life, etc.? And then you're like, okay. And even the introductions, right? Argelis, you've been a part. We did the conocimiento, cargas and regalos.
Yeah.
You saw one of those sessions that we did at the end of the last cohort. And then I'll be like, cool, somebody will just share. And I'll say, Jose, offer reflexión.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, okay. Hey, so they have to be like, you have to be engaged and listen. Go, oh, okay. Well, what made sense? What I heard you say, and it doesn't matter what they say. It's just trying to be to offer conversation in this virtual space that doesn't have the, where's my mute? Where's that 2.5 second uncomfortable moment.
You know, as you guys were talking about that, I was thinking about like the literacy component that we talked about, how to engage online. And I feel like there's a lot of that. We moved to Zoom within a semester.
Weeks. Yeah,
within weeks. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of newness to it. You know, there's in terms of etiquette, in terms of do's and don'ts. And I think back at like, especially people like us that work with first generation students, right? That maybe they don't understand what the professional settings. Maybe it's their first time in the classroom. Maybe this is the first time they engage in that way, and so part of the learning, is the process itself. Like, what does it mean to be present in the classroom compared to like what I did in high school, right? What does it mean to be accountable to my cohorts? You know what I'm saying? Compared to what I did in high school, like what kind of models do they have? And so on one side, they're maybe not understanding or don't know, or just to be honest, it hasn't normalized yet for all of us, you know what I'm saying? So nobody knows, and which brings me to our side and thinking like we also are learning what is okay and what is not okay, right? In these virtual spaces, and how to incentivize, engage, and motivate people to sort of like participate in to some extent awkward environment, because we're still getting used to it, right? Like muting, unmuting, talking over each other. There's a lot of talk over each other. There's a lot of people go, oh, you're on mute, you've been talking for a minute, you've been on mute for a minute, you know what I'm saying? And so there's a lot of it that, and there's like levels of understanding with technology. I know that when I've worked with community members, that's a whole different level of like, does everybody know where the mute button is? Does everybody know? Let's just check in on some basic sort of things, do's and don'ts, because every space is different. And even starting with like, this is going to be a space that I hold, and these are the things that I'd like to see, and these are the things that are okay. And so feel free to jump in there and not mute yourself, and engage at a certain level that maybe you haven't been used to in other spaces.
It's interesting. Even as we're talking right now, we have our welcoming dinner tonight. So this cohort of leaders across the sectors, or what we say, across the pillars, is they're meeting tonight for the first time. So they don't know who each other is, and they're meeting with the board. And I'm thinking of how, when I first started doing this with two cohorts ago, we started in person, and how I needed to prepare them was different than how, and so it was in person, and they needed a shift, within a couple of weeks to online. And then the second cohort, all last year, unfortunately, was all virtual. And then now we're hoping it's the inverse, that it's in virtual and it'll end in person. but even as I'm listening to you guys, is that I'm thinking of how my how I'm going to prepare folks tonight so that they can be ready, for that first leadership seminar that's virtual in nature. And so it's helpful for me to reflect and what I'm going to say tonight in 5 minutes to them to get ready.
See, no, it's interesting. The schools that I teach at, the past year and a half, 2 years, whatever, it's been virtual, right? We pivoted like everybody else did. Now they want us to meet in person. Some of us are doing every other week. We just try to scaffold people. But from the beginning of the semester, right, I try to address like people's anxiety around it, right? Like, so, what are you nervous about? Oh, parking, or I haven't been on campus in a while. All these things about what it takes to be in person, right? And then I kind of make light of things like, hey, you see that I'm pretty tall here, but I'm not that tall, right? Like, you'll see me in person. I'm not gonna be that guy that you saw there. Or you know what? Honest with you, I don't wear glasses. Like, I wear glasses for the laptop, but in general, I don't have to wear glasses. And they were like, what? Yeah. I don't. You wear glasses because you have to, Jose?
I wear. Yeah.
So those type of things, right? Like obviously, and then we're gonna have a mask, so we're gonna be teaching with masks. So that's gonna be a whole other way of, did you hear me? Did you not hear me? Right? Like it's gonna be interesting. But to your point, Miguel, every week we would like kind of touch upon like, well, what else you got? Like, it's getting closer, like, yeah, next week it's gonna happen. And then this week I went to campus to go fix some things up or whatever. But yeah, I had even forgotten how like you got to time yourself from one place to the next place. I say you got todo sudado on the next thing, right? Or like, oh man, 3 flights of stairs. I haven't done that in a while, right? To set up 3 flights, logo, and it's gonna be an adjustment for everybody, to do this what you just mentioned, the hybrid kind of virtual to in person or vice versa,
Yeah. Hey, thanks for the reminder. I forgot that you guys were blurry. Change. Yeah, you guys were. I forgot you guys were. Oh wow, you guys are handsome devils.
I
forgot.
We're gonna have to edit this. We're gonna have to edit this backwards. We're gonna have to redo the first part.
Can you just like copy and paste and put it on?
I think there's an app for that. I can just put some glasses on. I don't know if I can get the color, but maybe we can get something.
Hey, that's funny, man. Yeah. Good combo. It's helpful. And then, again, I'll share my gratitude, and we say like, man, like I'm the one that's like, damn, virtual, like it's in person, it's connection, it's the ability to like shake hands and pound the fist with students from the little ones all the way to the high schoolers and teachers, and treating them to do a little snack at the staff, staff meeting on a weekly basis, just taking care of people, in a way. It's hard to do it this way, but this probably would not have happened.
Exactly.
Like this, we're like, hey, I'm going to be down in hey, I'll meet you in Jose next summer. But this engagement would not have happened.
What do you mean? Like LA, Colombia, Bay Area?
Yeah, it would not have.
Yeah, that'd be hard.
Yeah.
So,
or it would happen as frequently and as fluently. That's the point, right? Like, yeah. We would have done it every quarter, every year, whatever. But this is frequent, and
now free 99, and it's free 99.
Yeah. And so it's helpful to like unpack in a process, and as you guys are talking and sharing, then I'm reflecting on what matters to me. So right, so I'm appreciative of both of you for making the time, and just appreciative to this space and spaces like this. I just want to share my gratitude.
Gracias.
Hey, so this reminds me, like I said, I love quotes. This reminds me of a quote that's perfect. It's perfect. It says, if you don't have a mentor that is younger than you, your ideas and view of the world will quickly be out of touch. And so as we continue to sort of like grow as educators and learn the technology that youth are used to, and the way they like to be engaged online, because like even the idea of like performing a TikTok, not that anybody has to perform a TikTok, but even a performance online. I mean, that is the way that they choose to be educated nowadays, which is crazy, right? Because like, you can't expect people to do TikToks But like, how do we sort of like find those mentors that are younger than us,
Yeah.
that are doing the type of engagement that the youth are are needing, are wanting, like are fully engaged with, right?
Yeah.
So we can sort of continue to sort of learn, not just from people and mentors that are older, but mentors that are younger than us that can teach us, like, this is where it's at currently with the youth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hey, that's helpful. Can you send that over? Because I'm going to use that one, and I might even use it
All right.
tonight, which is I talk about different types of mentors.
Right.
And I challenge the leaders to like go identify a new mentor and use their leadership, our collective leadership journey to go identify a mentor potentially beyond their line of work,
Right.
to get new perspective. And I remember, I think it was Warren Buffett. I don't like to quote Warren Buffett per se, but he spoke of a mentor, a teacher that was this young, I think, guy as well, that was around the technology to help him grow or get caught up to a certain extent. So that really resonated, Jose. And if you can share that with me, that would be great. And
I just sent it. Speaking of technology.
Nice. And so in that regard, yeah, I'm gonna take and I'll source you. I'll cite you.
Please cite your sources.
via Dr. Jose R. Lopez.
Yeah, so it's a quote of a quote, you know. So technically, I get the credit for bringing it up on topic, but I didn't make it.
You didn't create it.
No.
I think the ¿cómo se dice? The spin to it that I have, and I gotta figure out where I got it from. But it's just a circle of influence, right? Like we go through things and we get influenced by many things. And one of my talks or workshops is around like what has got you to this point, right? Circle of influence wise, as the mentors, as the partners, whatever. And then what is that end goal that you want to get to? And what are those influences that are not around you, right? Is it somebody who financially backs you? Is it somebody who's providing you leadership support, whatever that is, right? So you're constantly in flux of circles, right? Or support systems around you. And then as you get to your next space level, etc., you know, some have to weigh off and then some have to jump on. So same concept, right? Sometimes they're younger than you, sometimes they're super older, sometimes they're that, or right, or your peers.
But I think with the advent of technology, or that and the learning, like it just flips this idea of a mentor.
Yeah.
That it was, to be honest with you, it just, for whatever reason, it just resonated. I knew the concept before, but it just resonated in the way that you said it, which is the younger. And it speaks to, right, in our culturas, in our ways of knowing, ¿verdad? In our ceremonies, we speak of the four directions. We speak of the women, right? And we speak of men, and we speak of the elders, and we speak of the youth.
Yeah.
And so there's this continuum back and forth, right? We speak of the different, natural elements. And so it hadn't resonated in that way, but yeah, you're right. The phases of life, the different sources. So it's ringing true even through nuestra cultura, and say it in a way that's culturally grounding. Hey, I know